think we're good. All right. So I feel like getting a little bit playful today. And to begin with, coming to find your yogic seat. And this time, I'd like to invite you to grab a couple of blocks. And if this doesn't work for you, you can sit cross-legged. But otherwise, you can sit either on one block in Vajrasana, the thunderbolt pose, with your heels tucked under you. It's a nice stretch for the quads, stretch for the knees. And you want to make sure that you can get comfortably in it so it supports a long spine. Or two blocks can sometimes be a little more gentle on the thighs and the knees. And you don't have to put your weight on your heels this way when you're using the blocks. But you want to have a nice long spine with your shoulders stacked over your hips. Soften your shoulders away from your ears. Spread your heart. And last night, I was thinking about a game that I used to play. It was a song that I used to sing as a kid in summer camp. And it was these movements that were similar to the old 1950s hand jive dance. And it goes like this. All right, anybody know that one? I want to just do that together for a minute because we're going to play with that. We're going to integrate it into our practice. So you take your hands, and we can try it together. Take your hands, and it's 2 slaps on the lap. All right, and then 2 claps. And then snap, clap, snap, clap. Wave, double wave, and then switch your hands the other way, double wave. Double snap, double snap. So it's actually 1 snap, but 2 fingers snapping on one side and the other. So it's thighs, clap, snap, clap, snap, clap. Wave, wave, snap, snap. Lap, clap, snap, clap, snap, clap. Wave, wave. All right, see if you can try it with me. Now, we can actually add a mantra. I discovered that if you add the Hare Krishna mantra to this, it works perfectly. And it makes it playful and prayerful at the same time. So I'm going to add that. All right? So it's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Breathe out in, take a nice deep breath. Turn your palms up and just feel all the tingling in your hands. Maybe you feel tingling in your thighs, energy in your arms and shoulders. Big breath in, pause at the top, savor that breath, and exhale completely, let it all out. Another deep breath in, fill up the belly, expand the ribs, fill all the way up into the chest. Pause for a moment, let all that life energy come streaming in, and exhale with a sigh. Let the shoulders soften a little more away from the ears. And again, one more deep, long, slow breath in. Feel that fullness, like you're inhaling the fragrance of a beautiful flower, like those hyacinths that are all coming out right now. And just take that in and drink it in and then let it go. Offering out any tension, any distraction, anything that doesn't need to be here right now. So what I'd like to do is actually, before we begin our asana practice, to do Kapalabhati Pranayama, which is an energizing kriya that increases and balances the flow of prana and creates a state of focused alertness. Many people call it the yogic cup of coffee. So to begin here, you may want to blow your nose. And so if you have some tissues or a hanky, you may want to take a moment to clear your nostrils here because the snot does go flying when we do this. I'll put myself on mute. Just to clear your nostrils. All right. So just a couple of contraindications here. This practice may not be appropriate for everyone. So if you have, if you're pregnant, you don't want to do this. If you have high blood pressure that isn't being controlled by medication, or if you've had any kind of recent abdominal surgery that you're still healing from, you want to back off from this and just do the long, slow, deep breaths. Okay. Otherwise, to practice Kapalabhati, I'm going to take you're going to get warm doing this. So this might be a good time to take off a layer and come into a comfortable seated position, either with your legs tucked under you the way you were sitting, or cross-legged. Roll the shoulders down and back, spread the heart. You're going to bring your hand right here to the navel area. And this is a sharp, strong contraction. Quick, strong contraction, drawing the navel in and up, which expels breath quickly. And it's like you're blowing a bug out of your nose. So you're going to take a breath in, and we'll just practice for a moment. You're going to exhale, drawing the navel in, strong and sharp and quick. So the focus is on the exhale, and you can feel the expulsion of air through the nostrils. So it's the movement is only from the belly. So stop for a second. We'll go into the whole round of it. I'm just to make sure everybody understands it. It's not from the chest. You don't want the shoulders to be going up and down. You want to keep the face relaxed so you're not scrunching up and going. It's just everything relaxed and still. The movement is all from the belly. So this strengthens the abdominal muscles, gives a massage to all the internal organs, breaking up adhesions and clearing stagnant energy, and oxygenates the brain. It's also often called the skull polishing breath because it pulses the brain with life energy, with prana. So movement just from the belly in and up. The inhale is passive, so you're not going to actually be taking an inhale per se. So you're not going to be going, you're just going to focus on that exhale, and when the belly relaxes, it will create a vacuum and the breath will come in. So it's all focusing on exhale, like this. Okay? So once again, refresh your posture. Let's start with a long, slow, deep breath in, filling all the way up into the chest. And a complete exhale, emptying chest. Emptying ribs, exhaling through the nose. This is all through the nose now. Draw the navel in toward the spine to completely exhale. Another long, slow, complete dirga breath, which means a long three-part breath. And exhale completely all the way down to the belly. Our next inhale will be about halfway. Hand on the navel and begin with exhale, exhale, exhale. Exhale. Let the facial muscles stay relaxed. Keep exhaling. Pulling the navel in and up sharply, feeling that puff of air coming out of the nose. Clearing out any stagnation, stuck energy. Lighting up the brain with prana, your essential life force. Focusing just on that strong contraction. Exhale, 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 exhale. And begin to slow it down. Take a long, slow, deep breath in through the nose. Fill all the way up into the chest, and the exhale out through the mouth. Stick out your tongue and fold forward. like you're expelling any of that stuck, stale energy. Let it all go. And then take a long, slow, deep breath in through the nose. Sit up nice and tall, open heart. Fill all the way up into the chest. You can leave a little space at the top. You don't have to do your absolute fullest breath here. Just up into the chest, maybe about 3/4 of your lung capacity. Pause and hold. Hold the breath in. See if you can feel the tingling and all the sensations of prana being invited into every energy channel, all those nooks and crannies of your energy body known as the nadis, those meridians, the whole network web of energy of your subtle body lighting up. And you may notice that you can actually hold your breath longer than you expected. But we don't want to strain. Once you feel ready to release that in-breath, you can let it all go. And just once again, find your 3-part yogic breaths in through the nose, filling belly, ribs, and chest. Exhale completely through the nose, emptying chest, emptying the ribs, drawing the navel in, long, slow exhale. And just see if you can notice the energizing, pranifying effects of Kapalabhati Pranayama. Now, please take this opportunity to place yourself on mute. So if you haven't done so, you can press the little mute button by the microphone icon on your screen, because I do hear some rumbling around. And when you're finished with that, come off of your blocks and come into your child's pose on your mat, letting your sitting bones sink down toward your heels. Come into extended child if that's comfortable, reaching the hands forward. Your knees can be wide if you like, or you can let your belly rest on your thighs, and take this as a moment to make your own personal offering here. It can be a dedication, a prayer, an intention, an affirmation. Whatever it is, breathe that into your mind and heart, letting the forehead come all the way down to the mat, or if you need to place a block underneath your forehead, you can do that. Just taking a moment to settle into child's pose with long, slow, deep breaths. What is the quality that you want to cultivate as we move and breathe together on the mat today? And then bringing your inner thighs together, letting the belly rest on your thighs. Bring your hands back behind you, clasping your hands right around the sacrum area. Your thumbs are going to rest. And we'll take that intention, prayer, or dedication, and we'll seal it by coming up into the Yogic Seal or Yoga Mudra. So lifting the hips, come onto the crown of the head, and lift the hands to the sky. So you get that nice shoulder stretch through the arms. If your elbows don't want to go straight, you can grab a strap and keep a few inches of strap between your hands. Otherwise, squeeze the shoulder blades together. See if you can lift the knees so they're over the hips and your thigh bones are straight up and down. I'll go sideways, so if anyone of you needs to see, you can see a little bit better. And if it's comfortable for you, you can do a little rock and roll on the crown of the head, just forward and back, so that you have a little bit of cranial massage, if that's comfortable on your mat. Just massaging that crown chakra, that doorway to the infinite. And then bring your hands down by the side of your head, press up into your table pose. And from your table, you can take your cat-cow spinal waves. Drop the belly, press the low belly toward the thighs, lift the sacrum. Round the back, arch the back, pull the shoulders back and heart forward. Long, slow, deep breath in. Exhale, press away. Navel pulls in, chin comes to chest. And letting the breath move the body. Find your cat-cow expression that is deep and slow and synchronized with breath. Maybe you want to come up onto fingertips on that exhale so you get a little bit more lift. Just inviting those first two movements of the spine, flexion and extension. And then with hands flat, if it feels good, you can take a wagging the tail of the dog, sweeping the feet to one side, curling up like the letter C in one direction. And then in the other direction, opening up through the side of the torso. And then coming back to center, keep the fingers spread nice and wide so you have a wide base of support through your palms. Curl the toes under and press back into your downward facing dog. Your feet are about hip width apart here, toes pointed straight ahead. Continue to tilt the low belly toward the front of the thighs and press away with fingers, thumbs, roots of the fingers and thumbs. Long, straight arms, heart sinks down toward the mat, and take your dog for a nice slow walk. I heard a sneeze from someone, so somebody's not on mute. So if you just came in to join us, make sure that you're muted. Okay. Lots of breath here as you send one heel down into the mat and then the other. And take that navel, draw it in and up toward the heart. So you've got a little Uddiyana Bandha engaged here. On the next inhale, draw the shoulders over the wrists so you come into your plank pose. Press out through the heels and energize the legs. Back of the knees lifted. Body in one long line. Big, long, slow inhale. Exhale. Press down and forward into the hands, finding your way back into downward facing dog. Send your heels to the earth. Lift the tail. And then flow with breath coming from plank pose on the inhale to downward facing dog on the exhale. If you're needing a gentler expression of this sequence, you can be on your knees and go from knee down plank to child's pose, which still gives you a really nice stretch through the upper back and shoulders. Plank on the inhale, long, slow, and deep. You can even look under your body to make sure you're in one long line without the hips sinking down or sticking up. Firm your core so all the abdominal muscles come in toward the center. And you're going to find your wide and high inverted V, lifting the hips. Long line from hips to fingertips and from sitting bones to heels. Some of you will be taking a bent knee variation of downward dog. If you have tight hamstrings, that's fine. One more time, plank pose, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. And here we'll take it through the connecting vinyasa. So as you come forward on the next inhale into your plank, lower down knees, chest and chin, buttocks stay up in the air. Hands under the shoulders, toes curl under. Inhale, draw the heart forward and roll the shoulders back. Energize the legs, press all 10 toes down, point your toes back. So just in the baby cobra to start, keeping that lift, rolling the shoulders back. See if you can lift your hands off of the mat and draw them back behind you. Reaching fingers toward the back of your mat. If it feels available, you can interlace your fingers, get a little more squeezing together of the shoulder blades. And if you want, you can peel your toes off, and shins, knees, and thighs coming into the locust pose. So you're just making connection with the mat, with your belly and the pubic bone. Everything else lifted off. One more breath here. And then float the thighs, knees, and feet down. Hands under the shoulders. Press up into your table. Take a nice cat stretch. Squeeze out all the breath. Inhale, cow tilt, and press back downward facing dog. Find your breath again. A long, slow, deep inhale. All the way into the chest. Complete exhale all the way down to the belly. And flowing through that sequence again, inhale, plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. This time, if a full cobra is available, you can just stay connected with your pubic bone. Keep shoulders drawing back, heart reaching past the front of your mat, legs energized. Exhale, roll down. So it's a little bit different exploration this time. Press up through plank or table and back to down dog. Let's do that sequence one more time at your own pace. Plank to knees, chest, chin, the cobra expression that feels appropriate for you on the next inhale. And exhale, releasing and pressing back to downward facing dog. As you breathe in and out through the nose, you want to engage that ujjayi sound, the ocean sounding breath. So you want to create a little contraction of the glottis so you feel and hear that whisper sound in the back of the throat. All through the nose, in and out through nose. Walk the feet between the hands to come into your forward bend here. And let the spine drape over the legs. And as much bend in the knees as you need, just to invite a little bit more lengthening of the hamstrings. Keep the belly and the thighs closely connected here. Let the head be loose. Find some movement of the head. Yes and no. And don't know, because we're all kind of living in this big don't know day to day. So find what that looks like in your head. And then taking a half forward bend, slide the fingers up the shins so you come into fingertips pressing right into the tops of the shins. Reverse shrug with the shoulders flat back and engage that Uddiyana Bandha, navel in and up. Try to get a little longer from the tip of the tail to the crown of the head, back of the neck long, and fold over the legs on the exhale. Soften the knees a little bit more, roll up one vertebra at a time. Stacking one bone on top of the other, roll the shoulders down and back and spread your heart wide. Let the arms reach to the sky, palms come together. And as you draw the hands back to the heart, touching in once again, remembering the intention that you began your practice with. I want to take, I'm just changing my orientation to face you, but you can stay facing the way you are. Let's take my favorite side stretch. And I'm always a little bit confused here as to what view you're seeing, because sometimes the video can reverse things. So I'm not going to mirror you because I can't figure out exactly what you're seeing. So arms reach and rise. And I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to grasp my right wrist with my left fingers. And then take my right foot behind my left, come onto the outer edge of my right foot. And then take that nice half moon shape or crescent moon shape here as I draw my right arm long, reaching my fingertips out and away. And want to try to be on the outer edge of that right foot. And to juice this up, I'm going to press my right hip out to the right side. I'm going to bend the left knee a little bit more. That really energizes it. Oh yeah. Take a long, slow, deep breath and breathe into the whole side of the rib cage, side of the hip, that whole long line of connective tissue that goes from your foot all the way up the body is being expanded here. And then float your hands down, come back to standing in mountain for a moment and feel the difference between one side and the other. Big inhale, exhale, release. We'll take it other side, arms rise. Grasp your left wrist with your right fingers, thumb and middle finger works. Let the left foot come all the way over, as far over to the right as you can. Be on the outer edge of your foot. Take that crescent moon shape. And here you want to try to keep the shoulder, both shoulders drawing down. So especially that left shoulder, draw it down away from the ears, even as that arm is nice and long. Press out through your left hip. Bend your right knee a little bit more. Oh, feel that energizing side stretch. Big breath in and exhale, release. And come back to mountain pose and just feel the aliveness of that. Just take a moment to roll the shoulders one way. And rolling the other way. And interlace behind you once again in yoga mudra like this. We're going to fold over the legs again, squeeze the shoulder blades together, spread the heart nice and wide, bend the knees, and keep connected belly and thighs. So you're going to keep as deep a bend in the knees as you need to keep that connection. Crown of the head reaches to the earth, hands reach to the sky. Feel free to use a strap between your hands if needed. And then let the hands float down to frame the feet. And then from here, heel toe, the feet as wide as your mat. Turn the toes out 45 degrees. Bend the knees, roll up, stacking one vertebra on top of another. Coming to standing, hands on the hips. Keep your knees soft and just roll your hips. You're getting some fluidity in the pelvic area, the hip joint. Keep staying with lots of deep breath here, and you can circle the other way. Remember that circling the hips means just isolating the pelvis here and not letting the whole torso roll. You're just rolling with the lower part of your body here. And then coming back to standing, and keep the knees soft here. We'll come into empty coat sleeves, another energizing kriya that invites prana to flow and also invites a twisting motion of the spine, another one of those essential movements. So just letting the arms come along for the ride. If you're alone in your living room, you don't need to worry about thwacking anybody with your arms unless your significant other is practicing with you. Make sure you have lots of space. And leading with the heart, you can lift opposite heel as you deepen into the twist. And that same kind of strong contraction of the belly is going to create a ha breath as we deepen into the twist, except this time it's exhale through the mouth, not the nose. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth with a ha, 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 ha. Feel free to make as much noise as you want. Ha, ha. Some people are shy about doing this in group yoga classes. So here you have your opportunity to give it all you got. All that frustration, all that fear, ha, ha, all that pent up energy from being locked up in the house, ha, ha, whatever it is, ha, 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 all that frustration with how President Trump is bungling this whole thing, ha, ha, I usually don't try to get political in yoga class, but I couldn't help it. Ha, 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 and begin to slow it down. Ha, 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 ha. Oh yeah, feel that tingling sensation, the prana buzz. Let your feet come back to hip width apart and come to the front of your mat here. If you have blocks, you may want to place them within your arm's reach or take it into a vinyasa sequence, starting in mountain pose, tailbone roots straight down, lower ribs lift away from the pelvic bowl, heart is open, palms open. And that gesture of alert readiness. Crown of the head lifts to the sky. Feet root down into the earth underneath the ball of the big toe, the ball of the little toe, and the heel. So you feel that connection with Mother Earth and the expansive sky, being that meeting point, your own heart, that bridge between the two. Once again, hands come into prayer position in front of the heart, touching into your intention. Let's bring that intention, that quality, that prayer into every breath and every movement and every action that we bring into the world. Inhale, arms reach and rise. Reach through right fingertips, left fingertips. Arch back, honoring the sky, turning heart and gaze upward. Exhale, deep dive into your forward bend. Thanking the earth. Halfway up, half lift, flat back. Exhale, release, fold. Inhale, right foot comes back, low lunge. Lowering the right knee down. If you need to place a pad or a blanket underneath your knee for comfort, you can do that. Left knee is over the ankle. As the inner thighs draw toward the center, sweep the hands forward and up, come into your expression of kneeling warrior. You can have the hands clasped in temple pose like a sword, or hands open in victory celebration, maybe making the victory sign with your hands. What are you victorious over today? Hands back behind you, interlace. One more time, open the heart nice and wide, big breath. And then releasing the arms, come into a twist. You can either bring your right forearm to your left thigh and then left hand to your sacrum, fingers pointing down. If you do that, you want to be straight up and lift through your spine, root down through the tail, straight up through the crown, and try to get your shoulders to level with the side of your mat. You can either stay here in this twist, or you can take it into a full prayer twist. Palms come together. You'll need to lean forward a little bit here. But still stay long, like an arrow, like a diagonal line, like an arrow from the tail to the crown. Roll the left shoulder open as you press into the hands. If it's available, you can curl your back toes under, let that back knee rise up, powering up that back leg. Look up at the sky. Release the hands, frame the front foot, step back to plank and flow through your vinyasa. Any way that you want. Meeting in downward facing dog. Take a moment in your downward facing dog to lift your navel in and up. Still while breathing, it's just a little abdominal engagement that supports the spine, strengthens the abdominal muscles. Let the heart sink down a little bit lower. And on the next inhale, the right leg sweeps up to the sky, long line from fingertips to toes on that right side. Step it through into low lunge, lowering left knee down. Slide it back as far as it'll go. Lengthen root to crown, soften shoulders. Inner thighs engage toward the center line as you sweep forward and up. Find the expression with your arms that invites in the kind of warrior energy you need today. Maybe prayerful, maybe playful, maybe goddess Shakti energy, taking goddess arms. And then we can all use courage. So interlacing fingers, wide open, courageous heart, look up at the sky. Exhale, release. This time, left forearm can come on right thigh, right hand presses into sacrum, lift and lengthen through the spine. Turn your shoulders level with the right side of your mat. From here, you can take it into a full prayer twist, if that feels available and joyful. Pressing into palms to try to line up the thumbs in the same line as your heart. But you want to keep your arms in this frame here, 90-degree angle. So the hands are actually not touching the chest. Back toes curl under, lift up into high lunge. This is optional, only if you want to take it to the next level of challenge. Look up at the sky, roll the right shoulder open and release, frame that front foot. Step up into a half forward bend. Long spine, lift, spread your sit bones wide. Big inhale and then exhale, fold. Okay, you ready for some fun now? I'm going to turn to face you. You just stay where you are and let the hips drop. Come into chair pose. All right, are you ready? If you came in late, you might not get what I'm doing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Arms reach and rise. It makes it a lot easier to do the chair if you've got something like that to play with your hands. Palms come together and return to the heart, return to your intention. Big, deep inhale to reset the breath, to refocus the attention. Exhale completely. And we'll take it into a standing flow. Inhale, arms reach, rise. Heart, hands, gaze, looks up. Exhale, dive deep, forward bend. Halfway lift, inhale. And feel that Uddiyana Bandha engage here. Navel lift in and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, left foot steps back into high lunge this time. So you want to make sure that the back of that left knee is lifting high, your toes are curled under, and you're pressing back through your heels. Shoulders, if they've gone into scrunchasana here, you want to soften them back. Nice and long through the neck. And then spin your left heel inward 45 degrees. Reach your left hand out and away from you. And bring your right forearm to your right thigh. So you're coming into extended side angle. You're in one long diagonal line. So if your stance is too short, your hip is going to be sticking up and breaking that diagonal line. You're going to root down through the outer edge of your left foot and reach your left fingertips away. Again, abdominal lift, Uddiyana Bandha engaged. Press down into that forearm, into your thigh. Grow long. And if it feels good, you can take it into a bind here to invite a little rolling over of the open of the torso. Your whole body's in one plane here. Look up at the sky if you can. Big inhale. Exhale, release the arm, reach long again. See if you can grow an inch longer. And then wheel up into your warrior two, drawing outside edge of the right knee toward the right side of your mat. Nice and wide through the heart center. Turn the right palm up, lift it to the sky. So you take your dancing, joyful warrior here. Look up at your palm, slide the back hand down the back leg. If you have a variation that you like, that you want to play with in your dancing warrior, you can take that. Just keep those warrior legs happening. Exhale, back warrior two, and cartwheel all the way down into your lunge. We'll take it into a twist. Left hand presses down, right hand rises skyward. Turn your heart to face the right side of your mat. Exhale, release, step back into plank, flow through vinyasa. Some of you might be ready for chaturanga, to upward facing dog, lifting thighs, knees, and pelvis off of the mat. In up dog, arms are straight, heart is open, shoulders draw back, and you can roll over the toes into downward dog. And find your breath. And to take it into stepping through with the left foot now. Left leg rises back behind you, straight line, level hips, so we're not opening the hips here. We're just keeping the hip pointers facing down. Lift it high, step it through lightly and gracefully. Just taking your lunge here. Powering up the back leg, pressing back to the heel, softening shoulders. In and out through the nose, Ujjayi breath. With that gentle engagement of the glottis. Spin the right heel inward 45 degrees, forearm to thigh, and reach long, find that diagonal line. You want to check and make sure that your left heel is in a straight line with the middle of the arch of your right foot. Right toes turn in just slightly. Stacking your right hip on top of the left. See if you can roll the right hip open, roll the rib cage open, roll the shoulder open, and grow an inch longer from outer edge of right foot to right fingertips. And if you want to take a bind here to get that rolling open a little bit more, it could be back of the hand to the left hip, or slip pinky in the hip crease, grab your thigh, look up at the sky, roll it open. When you're ready to release, grow long again, big breath, and come back up into your warrior two. The hip pointers are facing toward the right side of your mat, nice and wide open in the heart, soft in the shoulders. Core engagement, core lift. Turn the left palm up, take your expression of dancing warrior. First, just find length. So first you just want to reach straight up, and then take it into that arching side bend, spreading open the ribs on the left side. Look up. Take a variation if it feels good, a bind or back of the hand grasping the base of the skull, elbow point straight up. And wheeling back through warrior two, cartwheeling down, hips square to the front, take it right into your twist now as the hips turn toward the left. Grow long and wide in your revolved side angle. Big breath and release. Step the back foot up to meet the front foot. Half forward bend, long spine. You're in a half lift here. Exhale, full forward bend. Drop the hips halfway. Chair pose, here we go. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sweep up, palms come together, checking back into your original prayer or intention. Find stillness with thumbs resting right in the center of the chest. Let your eyes close for a moment. Pause and feel your aliveness. Now, please turn sideways on your mat. And here you may want to take one block, if you have blocks, take one block on one side, one block on the other side. And let your feet come as wide apart as the length of one of your legs. This is always funny because in class, I always notice people thinking that their legs are much shorter than they are. So from heel to heel, not from toes to toes, but from heel to heel, let your stance be as wide as the length of your legs from your hip to your ankle. You're probably taller than you think you are. All right, root the tailbone down and spread the arms wide into 5-pointed star. Fingertips engage, spread nice and wide, like the rays of the star shining forth in all directions. Big breath in, wide open heart, and exhale into your goddess pose. Okay, so now you want to make sure the outer edges of those thighs draw back behind you. The tailbone roots straight down. So we're not getting into an arched back, sticking the tail back and the belly forward. You want to see if your back could be like it's against a wall. So see if you can get that little tuck of the tail under, pubic bone comes forward. So the whole back lengthens in your goddess pose. In and out through the nose here. Inhale, opening your arms into the five-pointed star. I like to think of this as the mother goddess embracing us all. Exhale, and the mother goddess finding her expression, her unique expression of her power and creativity through each and every one of us. So inhale, she embraces us all. Exhale, she helps us to find our power and our unique expression of creativity. Inhale, goddess embracing us. Exhale, goddess coming through us in our words, thoughts, actions, our songs, our voice, our writing, everything that we do. One more time. Inhale, five-pointed star. Long and wide. Infinitely wide. Exhale. Strong, powerful goddess. Feel that nice stretch in the inner thighs there. Inhale, open up to your star and pivot on the heels so the toes point straight ahead. We'll come into a half forward bend, a half wide leg forward bend. So your back is flat and your arms are airplane arms, level with your shoulders. If you need to reach your hands down, that's fine. Otherwise, feel your core engage to support this pose. Feel your tailbone reach back, your sit bones spread apart. Back of the neck is long, so tuck the chin enough so that you've got that long line all the way through your spine. Big inhale. And exhale, fold forward into full forward bend here. You're going to root down, anchor down through the outer edge of each of your feet, which are parallel. Those outer edges are parallel to the short ends of your mat. Now we're going to walk the hands. We're going to stay in this wide leg stance. We're going to walk the hands over. I'm going to go to my left. You can go whichever direction looks better from your view. You can mirror me or do opposite. So you're going to come into a lunge here. You're on the ball of your extended leg. And we're going to press right up using the blocks, using the hands to press into the corners of the blocks. Spring off and come right into your warrior three, hips facing down, slight micro bend in the standing leg. And here, you want to find a long horizontal line through the body. Sometimes you might need to find it easier to bring the block up a little higher setting. That's a little easier for you. And then if you want to take this, those of you for whom it's available, can take it right into a balancing half moon, rolling open the hip, stacking the top hip on top of the bottom, finding the two axes, horizontal and vertical through the body. Now, some of you might find that moving against a wall makes the whole pose a little bit more accessible to you. So if you need to do that, you can do that. Or if half moon isn't appropriate for you, you can stay right in this one long line warrior three and maybe just reach your arms out airplane or alongside of your body to just practice that balance and strength and core strength practice. And if you are in your balancing half moon and want to play with a variation like bending your knee, grabbing your foot and taking a bow kick, that's a little bit more of a challenging option, but some of you might find that available. When you're ready to release, hands can come down under your shoulders, float the back foot down so you're back in your lunge. Going to walk the hands around through the center. We'll take the same thing on the other side. So pivot your feet now so that toes point toward the right side of your mat or whatever opposite side to what you just did. Hands come down to the corners of the block and press up into that one long line. So that back leg here, once you're just finding this long line, you want to make sure that the thigh is rotated internally enough so that your knee points straight down. If your foot is flexed, your toes are going to point straight down. So you're not lifting one hip and rolling open. Find that core strength, find a micro bend in the standing leg, lift, maybe play either with your warrior three here, or take it into your balancing half moon, stacking the top hip on top of the bottom hip, maybe starting with just your hand on your hip so you can feel the angle of your hip. Both hip pointers pointing toward the side of your mat. Energize through the extended leg. Find your horizontal and vertical axis. Remember, the crown of the head is part of that long line, so don't let it go into Shlumpasana. So keep finding a long horizontal line from your foot through the crown, and then if it's available, taking your bow kick here. That's not for everyone, but it's one option. And when you're ready to release, coming back through that warrior three, floating the extended leg down into a lunge. Bring the hands inside the foot. So you're coming back into, walking the hands around to come back into wide leg forward bend. Toes point straight ahead, outer edges of the feet parallel, and walk the hands forward into a wide leg down dog, floating the heart down toward the mat, reaching the sitting bones back. Now you don't want to come off of your center of gravity here. So I'm going to turn sideways. So some of you might want to have a little look here to see the difference. If you walk your hands forward and you let your hips come forward, then you're placing a lot of weight on your hands. You won't be able to lift your hands off because you've lost your center of gravity. So what you want to do is keep the hips moving back, hands moving forward, so you don't actually have to put any weight on your hands. You should actually be able to lift your hands off of the mat or off of the floor here. And so that will help you self-correct. And then walking the hands under the shoulders, come up halfway, press the palms into the mat under the shoulders. We'll take it into a twist. Press into your right palm and lift the left hand to the sky. Long from tail to crown, long from the bottom hand to the upper hand. You can take a bind here, reaching that upper hand back to the opposite hip. Maybe grab your thigh, let the shoulder roll open, look up at the sky. And release. Other side, right hand lifts. Find the long lines through the spine and through the arms, through the heart center. And then take your bind if that felt joyful for you on the other side, rolling your top shoulder open, look up at the sky. Release and let go. Now roll, pivot, not roll, but just pivot on the heels so the toes turn out 45. Soften the knees. We're going to roll up one vertebra at a time. Going to come right into your goddess pose. Sit down a little bit more into your goddess so your thighs come a little closer to parallel. All right. Open out the knees wide so you feel that nice hip opening stretch and inner thigh lengthening. And here we go. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's do it one more time. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Call upon the strength of the goddess to do this. And snap, snap, rise up. Oh yeah, palms come together, drawing your intention back to your heart. Wonderful. Heel, toe, the feet to hip width apart. Maybe shaking out one leg, shaking out the other leg, anything else that needs to be shook out. Shooken out? That's not a word. Shaken out. So we're going to come down to the mat now. And depending on your setup, you might want to take your blanket. I have mats going both ways, but most of you probably just have one mat. So if you are just using one mat, you may want to take your blanket and spread it out crossways along the mat. You're going to take it to about this kind of a fold. so that it's in the center of your mat. We're going to be doing the frog pose. So you want to have a little room on either side of your mat to allow your knees to spread out nice and wide, and they'll have some padding. The other way you can do this is you can go sideways on your mat and either put the blanket, or if you have a rug that you're comfortable with, you can just let your torso rest on the floor. So any one of those directions is fine. The trick here with frog is that if you're doing the full frog, you want to have the knees stay in line with the level of your hips, with your pelvis. So I think I'll do it. I'm not sure which is the best view for you, but some of you may want to do half frog, and I'll just demonstrate that for a moment. Half frog, you're going to have one leg straight, one knee at hip height, and you're going to make an L shape with your leg. And you're just going to bring the whole pelvis and torso down, turn the cheek to one side, and your arms are going to come into frog arms, which are the same as goddess arms. And you turn the head to one side and just let the hip pointer of the knee that's bent press down toward the floor. So you get a gentle invitation to open the hip on one side. And you can stay there for a few breaths before switching to the other side. If you're going to do full frog, you're going to start with table. And you're going to widen your knees, staying in line with your hip. Maybe your blanket might even have a crease in it that you can follow as a guideline. You're going to get those knees as wide as you can, supporting yourself on your hands, keeping your knees in your ankles in line with your knees. So you still keep that L shape. I'm going to turn this way so maybe you can see it better. Actually, I'm going to turn this way so you can see it from behind. See, my knees are in line with my hip. If I bring my upper body forward too far, then you're losing the alignment of that particular pose. So you want to keep the knees in line with your hips. And you're going to slowly come down. You may want to come onto your forearms here. I'll go sideways. Onto your forearms, and maybe that's as far as you're going to go. And if you're on your forearms, you can play a little bit with micro movements forward and back, breathing into any places that are tight. If it's available to come all the way down with the heart down toward touching the floor, you can do that, taking your frog arms. But if your butt is all the way up in the air like that, then it's probably better to be just on your forearms. So breathe and enjoy in the frog pose. And if you are in half frog, and this might be a good time to switch to the other side if you've been there for a minute or so. Oh yeah, this is a strong one, this pose. Again, you can find those micro movements forward and back if you're on your elbows. If you're down on your belly and your chest down, just see if you can allow the pelvis to release a little bit more. Maybe the knees to spread wider apart, even just a millimeter. Pressing the hip pointers down. Oh yeah. If your head is turned to one side, maybe try turning it to the other side, just for balance. I'm a little limited with my microphone on here. And remember to send your breath to any places where you feel strong sensation. This is a strong pose. So it's like you're using the breath to massage any areas of restriction and tightness. Using ujjayi with that contraction of the glottis, or epiglottis. And then to come out of your frog pose, you're going to come back onto forearms. And there's lots of different ways to come out of this pose. Today, we're going to come right into Sphinx Pose. So you can wiggle one leg straight back behind you, or wiggle the other leg straight back behind you. And kind of wiggle your hips side to side. So you're coming into your Sphinx with your elbows right underneath your shoulders. Press down into the elbows and forearms. Draw the shoulders back. Draw the heart forward. Energize the legs. You're going to energize the legs means you want to feel those toes pointing to the back edge of your mat. All 10 toes, try to press down. Maybe you can feel the kneecaps engage and lift. The quadriceps are active. And you can either stay here, or you can press down and forward into the hands, just letting the elbows straighten, either just a little lift or all the way. Keep pulling shoulders back so you feel a little more of a lengthening through the front of the torso. You should feel some activity in the low back here. Breathe into that. Or with elbows down, you can come into a combination seal pose and Sphinx pose, bringing the big toes together and heels toward the buttocks. Keep pressing down into your elbows and give them a little pull. And that will give you a little bit more energizing opening in the front of the torso. Breathe and enjoy. And then from here, if you're in that Sphinx seal mashup, you can also lift the elbows to get that little juicier expression. Releasing the elbows, floating the feet down. Just roll the forehead down for a moment just to release this. Wiggle the hips side to side a little bit, maybe bending the knees and finding windshield wiper legs. I'm going to invite you to come into bow pose. Now, bow pose may not be available for everyone because it involves reaching for your feet and lifting up. So you can either stay in Sphinx pose, or you could take your blanket, or if you have a bolster, you might want to use a bolster here. But a blanket roll, if it's a thick enough blanket, can also work. Making a nice jelly roll shape here. I'll roll it into a jelly roll. And placing that jelly roll right underneath your lower ribs. So you can still have your elbows down in Sphinx pose, but you've got a little bit more support there. So you can bend your knees and reach back, and your body won't collapse. You have a little bit of support. Other option would be to take blocks. If you need something a little firmer, take your blocks side by side, place your blanket over the blocks. That's not quite as comfortable, but it might be a little more firm. And coming into your expression of Dhanurasana, the bow pose, grabbing your feet, snuggle the inner thighs a little closer together and lift up, pointing toes to the sky. See if you can peel your thighs all the way off. Kick up and back. Lift, 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 lift. Lift your gaze. Feel the chest opening. Lots of breath here. And release. Make a pillow with the hands. Turn the cheek to one side. Let it all go. Just release that. Feel the reverberation of that pose in you. And then taking one more expression of bow pose, one of the things that you can do to do that again, or you can come back into your Sphinx seal combination. If you're going to take bow again, try something a little bit different. Try, instead of grabbing, if you grab your feet with your palms facing the top of your feet, try switching the direction of the hands so that you grab your feet from the inside. So your palms are kind of facing the sole of the foot a little bit more rather than the top of the foot. And notice how that's a little bit different rotation of the shoulder. So try that and see if that gives you a different experience lifting up into your bow. You might find it a different experience in the chest and in the shoulders and the upper arms. Also lift the edges of the mouth toward the ears and enjoy, have fun, play, and release. Pillow with the hand, turn the cheek to one side, let go. Hands under the shoulders. Press up through table. Take a nice cat stretch, maybe a few rounds of cat-cow if that feels good to reset. And find your way right into child's pose from here. We're going to move right into pigeon pose, lifting up into table. Slide your right knee right behind the right wrist. Wiggle your right foot a little closer to the left side of your mat. Slide your left leg back. And here you can either just do a little rocking and rolling side to side pigeon dance, or if you have your blanket available to place underneath your right buttock, that might give you a little bit more support to invite that elegant, open-hearted, proud pigeon chest. Any variation of pigeon that feels good here, either folding forward into resting pigeon or taking a pigeon bow pose, like we just did a bow kick. You can try hand inside or outside the foot. Maybe some of you will want to play with mermaid if that feels accessible to you. We're just keeping it nice and simple. Hands under the shoulders, arching back, squaring the hips to the front. That's important in pigeon. So you get that nice stretch in the psoas area on the left side. 2 more breaths. I'm going to change my orientation here, but you can just stay right where you are. Remove the blanket from underneath your right buttock if it's there, and come right onto that buttock, allowing the back leg to swing all the way around. I'm going to come into Gomukhasana Arms. So you're going to stack your left knee on top of your right with legs folded in nice and close. Another option is once you get those knees stacked and they're in line with your navel, you can widen your toes a little bit more apart from one another. You want to feel both sitting bones connected to the mat, long spine. If that doesn't feel available to you, you can take a block and place a block underneath your sitting bones to get a little bit more height. That sometimes can make this whole position a lot easier. So if you have your left leg on top, your left knee on top of your right, let the right hand rise and pat yourself on the back. Take the other hand and invite the elbow to come straight up. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of assistance here. So the elbow points straight up in line with the spine. And then the back hand, the left hand is going to come down, back around behind you. So you're going to be hooking your fingers like this, but not everybody can reach. So that's where the strap can be very useful here. If your strap is within reach, you can grab your strap, walk the right fingers down, the left fingers up. Try to point one elbow straight down, one elbow point straight up. And if that's not available, you don't have a strap, you can just grab your clothes and approximate this pose as best you can. Nice and long and lifted through the crown of the head. Oh, you have your left leg on top. Open heart. This is sometimes called the face of the cow, traditionally called the face of the cow. Kripalu yogis call it the face of light. So see if you can embody that. Slowly releasing the arms. The arm that was above, bring it underneath the arm that was behind you to wrap into eagle arms. Fingertips to the sky, thumbs point toward you. If eagle arms isn't available for you, you can always just give yourself a hug with your right arm underneath. Lift hands to the sky, thumbs point toward you. Lift the elbows as high as the shoulders, if not higher. And unwind. We'll take it into a twist here, just bringing, if you're up on a block, you could just have your hand to the outside of your left thigh. Other hand, fingertips come down back behind you, take it into a spinal twist. If you're all the way down with your sitting bones on the floor, you can use forearm to thigh. Lengthen from root to crown, deepen, leading with the heart into your twist. Look around back behind you, over your left shoulder. And release. And unwind. You're going to come right through your pigeon pose. Now, those of you who want to press back to downward facing dog to stretch the backs of the legs can do that. If you have energy and want to move through your vinyasa sequence, you can do that. To meet back in downward facing dog. Then lower the knees, slide the left knee forward, coming into pigeon pose. We'll take pigeon on the other side. Just wiggle those left toes up a little closer to the right hand. Square your hips, which means drawing the left hip crease back a little and inviting the right hip crease to come forward. Soften shoulders, spread heart, find your expression of pigeon, just as you did on the other side. Staying connected to that sacred rhythm of your breath. We're going to transition from pigeon into the Gomukhasana. So here, remove any support you have underneath your left buttock. Roll onto the left buttock, swing the right leg around, stack one knee on top of the other. Now for some people, even with the block, stacking one knee on top and getting that alignment is not available. So it's fine to just do any approximation. This pose isn't really focused so much on the lower body as it is on the upper body. Find that length and lift, and let the left arm rise, reach up through your fingertips, pat yourself on the back. Invite that elbow to come straight up, and other hand comes around back behind you. Clasp your fingers and embody face of light with your breath, with your mind, shining out through your heart. Maybe you can visualize shining light out right through the center of your forehead, third eye, and through the crown of the head. Long from the tailbone to the top of the head. You want to make sure that that upper arm doesn't push the head, the chin down toward the chest. You want to stay one long line from root to crown. So you might need to push on it a little bit by leaning your head back into your arm a little bit. Sweeping breaths. And one more. And slowly unwinding. Now you're going to let your left arm come underneath your right into eagle arms. Lift the elbows high, fingers high. If you're not familiar with eagle arms, you just want to have one elbow underneath the other. And in this case, the right elbow is a little bit past the left one. Wrapping the wrists is optional. You can just have the backs of the hands to one another. This gives you a nice stretch behind the heart, between the shoulder blades and the upper back and shoulders and upper arms. Taking it into a twist here, as you did on the other side, using forearm for leverage or palm on outside of right thigh. Turning your shoulders to level with the side of your mat as close as they'll go to that position. Every inhale, you lengthen up from root to crown. Every exhale, deepen into the twist. And release. Unwind your legs. If you want to stretch back into down dog, you can do that. Last chance for a connecting vinyasa for those of you who really need that high energy practice. It's not necessary at all. Just listen to what your body wants and needs. And then when you lower the knees down, we're going to swing the legs around. We're going to come into the boat pose. Just a little bit of ab strengthening and a little bit of fun here. I like to put a blanket underneath my bottom. And you can remove your magnificence, as the Kripalu yogis say, so you really feel the sit bones rooting down. Find a V shape, an upside down V with the legs, a V shape between the thigh and the torso. Open the heart, soften the shoulders down. Just be on tippy toes here. Hands reach out forward and see if you can lift the legs either to lower legs parallel or straighten. Firm the core, draw the low belly toward the thighs. Keep shoulders relaxed, keep face relaxed. Maybe a little lift, a little Buddha smile in the corners of the mouth. Ujjayi breath. And here we go. Oh, one more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Float the feet down, hands underneath the shoulders. Press up into a bench pose. See if you can get your hips, your knees, your shoulders, and your head in one long line. Keep pressing those hip pointers to the sky. Big breath. And slowly float the hips down. Remove your cushion. Roll onto your mat. Hug your knees in toward your chest. And if you have a little massage that feels intuitive here, you can rock side to side. You can do a little spinal rocking down the length of the spine to the shoulders. Maybe just taking some hip circles if that feels good. Okay. And I'm going to give you a moment to do a little yogi's choice practice. Some of you may want to take your shoulder stand and plow, or a moment of being upside down any way that you prefer. Some of you practice headstand, some of you practice just legs up in the air. And also a nice inversion is simply the bridge, or even a supported bridge. Since we're in our wind down phase of our practice, it might be nice just to do that restorative bridge with a block underneath your sacrum, just letting your hips be supported by that block. So this is an inversion because your hips are higher than your heart, and gives those organs in the lower part of your abdominal cavity a chance to get a little of the pressure off of them. And the blood returns to the heart and goes into the throat and nourishes the thyroid and the parathyroid, say that 10 times fast. So find your expression. Some of you may want to come into legs up in the air from here. Or full shoulder stand and plow. So I'll give you a couple of minutes for your own exploration here. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And begin to bring your inversion practice to a close. Find your way down onto your mat. And if there's any final movement that would help you settle down into the earth for some final relaxation, please take that. If you have a closing reclining twist, or maybe you want to take your happy baby pose, or if that frog pose wasn't enough for you, you can take your reclining goddess with the soles of the feet together, legs in a diamond, Supta Baddha Konasana, supine bound angle. So just take this last minute just to invite any pose that would help you feel complete. And then settling down in Shavasana on your mat. Palms are turned up in that gesture of receiving the benefits of your practice as all of that prana comes flooding into every cell and every organ and every bone and muscle and all the energy channels. You can tuck your shoulder blades just a hair closer to one another so you feel the openness of your heart as well. And let your toes kind of flop out in opposite directions. Let yourself completely let go into the support of the earth. Eyes closed. And just let yourself receive these beautiful words from this poem by Mary Oliver. It's called Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in this stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free from suffering. May all beings know the magnificence of our own true nature. All beings near and far, human, non-human, male and female, and everything in between. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Begin to deepen your breath, bringing your movement into your fingers and toes just a little bit at a time, starting with tiny micro movements and then letting the movement get bigger, wider, fuller, deepening your breath. If you'd like to hug your knees in toward your chest, giving yourself an embrace, perhaps imagining that as you embrace yourself, you're also embracing all beings everywhere, that we want for every being all the happiness and health and joy that we want for ourselves. And rolling over onto one side into a fetal position. Take a moment to pause there. And then press yourself up to a seat, yogic seat. Any comfortable cross-legged position, or back to Vajrasana where we started, with your legs tucked under you. However you want to come to seated. And then to send this prayer of well-being out in all directions. Bring the hands, palms joined in front of the heart in prayer position. And taking a deep breath in, let's conclude our practice with the sound of Om, which is like the ringing of a bell that sends its vibration out into ever-widening circles to touch all beings everywhere with our prayer of hope and peace. Deep breath in, fill all the way up into the chest, and let's share the sound of Om together. Thank you, everyone. It is always a joy to practice with you.